Hello there. In this video we're going to go over writing the rules for the graph of a rational function, and we're going to do this by following the VIVIT acronym. So starting on the left, let's first establish what are the vertical asymptotes. And we see those in the graph at -1 and +2, so in the denominator of a rational function, in factored form, we'll put in x plus 1, x minus 2. Now, the next part of VIVIT is, are any of these a volcano? And the -x equals -1 is, so we're going to make that one squared. The other one, going up to infinity, coming in from -infinity, is not, so we're not going to square that one. Now we're going to want the x-intercepts. I guess that's what the I stands for. And we see those at -2 and +1, so we build those forms. Now the t here is for if either of these x-intercepts touch or bounce. So you're kind of going through the same thing. Vertical asymptotes, do they get squared? Are they volcanoes? X-intercepts, do they get squared? Do they touch? Do they bounce? And neither of these do, so that's fine. And the last thing we're going to establish is h, which could be horizontal asymptote / hole. It's getting to the idea of what is the scalar. Is this one? Oh, I missed one. Haha, it's hiding out there. Okay, so we do have an x minus 4, that whole thing. Just trying to figure out, because right now, previously I had a quadratic over a cubic, and that should trend towards 0, and this is not. But now I have 1, 2, 3, I got a cubic over a cubic. So this is following case 2, and we can see that that is trending out towards y equals 1/2, so that means that our whole coefficient for this whole thing, now if I multiply out the top, I'm getting x cubed, and if I multiply out the bottom, I'm going to get something x cubed, and the ratio of those x cubes has to be 1 to 2, so that's my scalar. Boom. And I suppose I don't really need to put the 1 out in front of that one. I can just put the 2 there for that scalar. Okay, thanks for watching, and character and scholarship for... No, wait, we have a whole other one here. What am I talking about? The final thing, you might want to check that it actually weaves through 0, -2. So I plug in 0, I'm going to get this thing. That is +8 over -4, and that is -2, so that looks good. That this over 2 is right here. Gosh, I was so excited getting through this one. Forgot that we have a whole other problem here. Okay, so same thing on this side. We have vertical asymptotes. There appears to be one vertical asymptote at 0, so that's going to be x, and it is a volcano, x squared. X-intercepts, there's one at -1, so x plus 1, and there's one at 2, so x minus 2. And the one at 2 is bouncing, so we're going to make that one squared. Now we're going to figure out holes / horizontal or oblique asymptote / scalar. So this one has a hole, so actually there is another thing in here that I need to put in, and that is x, it's not going to fit. I feel like this video is becoming a comedy of errors. That's x minus 1. That's the whole part. Boom. Okay. And that part's not going to be in the f hat version. That would cancel out. Okay, so we're trying to figure out the scalar for this whole thing. So looking at f hat, when I plug in a 1 here, let's erase that. When I plug in a 1, now remember there's some scalar in front of all this. I plug in a 1, I get 1 plus 1, I get 1 minus 2 quantity squared over 1 squared. And remember, we're not doing these because we'd get 0 over 0. And this whole thing has to produce 4/5. Okay, so there's like all these positive ones here. Effectively, this is becoming 2k. So I can divide by 2, and k is going to be 2/5. So that's going to tell me my scalar out in front is going to be, and I can, instead of writing as like 2/5 up here, so I got like 2/5 this stuff over this stuff, I'm going to write it as 2, and there's the 5, and it multiplies out to be the same thing. And this actually will also be the slope of this line, and if we do some polynomial division, we would eventually get that the equation of that line is 2/5 x minus 6/5, which looks appropriate for what we're seeing there in the graph. But this problem is not writing the rules for everything that we see in the graph, just the factored form. And we're doing these in factored form. We're not expanding it out. So my final answer is simply going to be both of these things. And we got our visible, what are our vertical asymptotes, if they're volcanoes, x-intercepts, if they bounce, and what our scalar is for them both. All right, so now I think we finally finished it. Thanks for watching Character and Scholarship for Life.